A very pleasant day to you. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Thursday, November 5, 2020. For today's editorial, Stop Delaying Creation of Disaster Agency. In a radio interview on Tuesday, Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo again called for the creation of the Department of Disaster Resilience, or DDR, to better manage calamity risk management and response in a country where such events, such as this past weekend's destructive Super Typhoon Rolly, are normal occurrences. We are frankly weary of hearing such calls for the creation of this sort of agency after every one of the frequent natural disasters that occurs in the Philippines, because it is a critical initiative that should have been done a long time ago. Go is the sponsor of a bill in the Senate, Senate Bill 205, that would create a Department of Disaster Resilience. The idea, however, has been around much longer. Various lawmakers have been calling for a dedicated, full-time disaster management agency even before the creation of the current framework under the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or the NDRRMC, in 2010. The rationale behind the creation of the NDRRMC was that all government departments and agencies whose areas of responsibility would be affected by a calamity should be involved in the development of the government's disaster response policy and coordination of response efforts. It was a reasonable concept on paper, but in practice has been far less efficient than hoped, because there are too many decision makers involved. While the country's calamity response has improved overall in recent years, much of that can be attributed to better performance at the local government level. The national response is still viewed as slower and more bureaucratic than it ought to be. Commenting on the issue on Tuesday, Go stressed interagency coordination should be improved. This is the reason why I have repeatedly pushed for the establishment of a department with the secretary level that is in charge in the management of preparedness, response, and resilience measures when it comes to this kind of disaster. The clearer chain of command that would be established by a dedicated cabinet-level department, Go explained, would provide more response mechanisms and a more holistic, proactive approach to managing the calamities regularly experienced by the country. With the DDR in place, decisions that need to be made quickly in the wake of disasters such as Typhoon Rolly could be done as part of a departmental policy and operating framework, rather than having to wait for the NDRRMC to convene and reach a consensus. From a broader governance perspective, having a DDR would consolidate a significant amount of budgetary resources that are currently spread across the entire bureaucracy as various calamity funds that are subject to leakage. At the very least, this would make deployment of financial resources far more efficient and might actually save the government some money. Why it is taking so long for this good idea to become a reality is quite puzzling. President Rodrigo Duterte has consistently supported the initiative, as have many legislators. The House of Representatives, in fact, already passed a bill, House Bill 5989, to create a Department of Disaster Resilience by a vote of 241 to 7 in September. Despite Go's efforts, however, the Senate so far has shown little sense of urgency in taking up the matter, and probably will not have sufficient time to do so before the end of the year recess. As things stand now, the initiative will have to wait until the Senate either passes Go's bill, in which case a conference committee will have to reconcile the Senate and House versions to come up with the final bill for the President's approval, or the Senate will need to debate whether or not to simply accept the already passed House version. At best, the soonest the DDR could become a reality would be sometime in the first quarter of next year. As we all know, calamities are no respecters of human schedules. If the Senate cannot on its own prioritize passage of Senate Bill 205 or acceptance of House Bill 5989, perhaps President Duterte should remind them of the urgency of doing so. And that's the editorial for Thursday, November 5, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to the voice of the Times.